Good morning, Kupali. I was just on mute. I was just waiting for a few more people to join, and we are beginning
Oh,
very shortly.
okay. Sorry.
Good morning. Welcome to Information Architecture. I'm glad for those of you that have chosen to come to the session, and I hope you're having a good start of the day. It's cold again today, and but despite the fact that it's been cold, I still managed to go for a nice little walk and get some nice coffee. So I'm ready for the session today. Welcome, and we will continue some of the concept that we spoke about yesterday. I put a little bit, a small poll up just to get a sense of whether or not you feel that you're learning or getting some value from the class. I really sincerely hope that you do. And if you do have any feedback, if you do have any concern about the class, please reach out to me. Or you can raise it. We can discuss it in class, or you can also reach out to me through the course message. I'll be more than happy to help and assist. As a teacher and as someone who has students that I know have many classes, I fully understand that I can adapt and there are things that we can do better. Even how our Blackboard is structured, because we are in information architecture, right? So we want to make things better for our user, for our customer, and you are my user of my software. So I will appreciate definitely. So let's start and continue with what some of the concept from yesterday. So just as a little refresh, if you remember, we did a little exercise where I asked you to think about furniture, some type of furniture, and it was really, really interesting to see how everybody thinks similarly, and sometimes we also think differently about furniture, and we actually think of furniture at different level. And as I said yesterday, the article this week will say different users will think of furniture at different level in the hierarchy. So some of us were here at table, chair, bed, bedroom. Some of us were in the room categories. And then some of us were at this level, like kitchen chair. We're being very, very specific. And again, the more knowledge you get about a product or an industry, the more specific you will be. And that will tell you if someone is novice, intermediate, or expert. So I think you can almost think of this as people are going deeper in the hierarchy. They're a lot more informed and a lot more familiar, most likely. So they're probably a super advanced user of your product or very knowledgeable. And the chances are they're probably going to type in these specific names or these specific products and think back about my bicycle, right? If I don't know much about bicycle, but I just want to buy a bicycle, I'm probably going to start my research with bicycle store near me. And then eventually, as I learn more, I'm going to hear that different type of bicycle. So road bikes, dirt bikes, and then different kind of materials. And I will become a lot more sophisticated and more advanced. And my search will change. The way that you will speak about the bicycle will change. And now, guess what? The psychology, for those of you who have studied in psychology, I'm suddenly going to see all those bicycles around me in the summer. And it's the same thing when you go for car shopping, because you're becoming aware. And if you've done psychology, you will know that we filter a lot of information daily at every moment, because we need to be able to process the information that is important to us. And then a lot of it, we actually just ignore it because we're focusing on what is relevant and what's important. Information architecture depends on psychology. So, and as I said, we often say the site is very busy. It doesn't matter if the user is able to find what they're looking for. The first question is, what are they looking for? What is their main goal? And then everything else will follow. So we're going to look at more example today, but the little example of furniture was to illustrate how a hierarchy or a structure or even categories, how people navigate it and how we are all at different places. But there are commonalities when we think of specific categories, a specific product. When it comes to the team, thank you. We have about 10 teams, so it looks like we're almost complete. But if for some reason you still do not have a team, you have not paired up with a team, I suggest that you send a message to the class, to the course message, and ask if there's a team who will be willing to welcome you to their team. I've asked for a maximum of 5, and we can see that some of the teams have 4 people, so we could actually add a few more if there are some people that have no teams. Or perhaps you can say on the chat here that you have no teams, and some kind team members will invite you to join. So thank you for sending the names, and then I do expect assignments to all be done in teams, and then some of the labs, as I said, pieces are individual and pieces are in teams. I've added another slide, the same slide that I've been using yesterday in class about all the numbers, closer to today's section of the deck, so that I can go back to it if I need be, because I found that yesterday it was actually very useful. Okay, so some of the tips when you're actually thinking about structuring your site, your information architecture, because really information architecture is about structuring. We want to structure so that things are in order, and for us, for the user, so that it's predictable, it's usable, and things can be found. Some things that you can do, and you should when you think of architecting your information, is look at other websites, look at people in your industry as well. The chances are people go to more than one site, and that we know. In travel, people on average will visit 20 sites before they actually decide to buy a vacation with you. So, and in telecommunication, I think it's on average 5 to 7 sites. So people are navigating through your competition, and they're becoming familiar, and they become trained. So if you're very different, it will actually probably confuse them, and to the point that they may actually not even buy from you. So look at your competition, but also look outside your industry. There are standards with the internet that have been adopted, regardless of which industry. An example will be login, sign in, my account, my login, my bookings, help, customer support, contact, about us, career. And then you can already close your eyes and imagine where they are. We're going to talk about placement of these items, but these are almost given nowadays, and they apply to pretty much every industry. But then it becomes, when you think of Walmart, then Walmart will have retail and items and outlet items. Now, if you think of the industry of travel, travel will almost going to have also their own standards. And then the same thing with any other industry, but look at your competition, look inside your industry, and look outside the industry as well. It's very important to know the user and validate with them when you can, and I will show you that. And this is the focus of some of the labs. I really want you to think about the users. And again, is it someone who's a customer or not a customer? Are they using your service and they need a specific help, or they need something in their journey? Their needs will be very different. And I would say your IA needs to have items for them as well. But what we often see is a lot of the information architecture, or even like the landing pages or pages, their main focus is about sales, and then you're going to find somewhere support, contact, quick links for account management hidden somewhere. That can actually be hurting your business. We're going to look at the example today. Look at your own data, very important. You want to know if people are visiting, why they're visiting, what they're going to, and what they're going through. So some of the common errors that you will see when it comes to hierarchical structures or information architecture or grouping or flows and sections of your site, you're going to see these, and I have some example. Often things are being categorized around your business, your structure, your departments, your processes. We see a lot of examples of out there. The user doesn't know about your business structure. He doesn't know about your processes. He doesn't know about your department. Neither does he care. So, and this is probably going to be your biggest challenge when you think of architecting your website. Now, if it's your personal website, then think about the user and think about what they're trying to do, and don't think about what you believe is what is important to them, or how your folders are structured, or how your experience, or how you actually travel. I think Nelly was saying she was trying to think about the best information architecture for her picture, for her journey when she did around the world. And then she said, should I go by dates? Well, the question is, what do my user know about me. They probably don't know when I was traveling. They probably don't even know where I was when I was, but they want to know where you've been, what you've seen, what you've done. That they will know. So that would be one, probably how I would think of structuring. It would be about the themes, and not so much about the timeline, my timeline. But perhaps though, if someone is looking for doing the same itinerary as Nelly, then yes, they might be interested in the order of how things have happened, and that would be the chronological order. But again, you really have to know what is the user aware of. What does he know? So does he know my dates, where I've been, which month? No, he doesn't. Uh, does he know which department handles my complaint? No, they don't. And then you will often see that sometimes we ask user to make a choice about something that they may not know the answer. And then often they're just going to pick whatever. And then you're going to end up that the department who should be getting your requests is not getting them because someone else is. And you'll be amazed that this happens all the time. So this is probably going to be the biggest pushback that you would need to do if you were in a business. And then you will need to find ways to convince them otherwise. Labels related issues. So unclear, confusing labels, or labels that people don't know. So again, it goes back to what does my user know about my business, about me, about the industry, and then how do I facilitate that? And then yesterday I give you a link to the keyword searches so that you will be able to tell if people are even typing in and knowing those keyword searches, which usually will tell you give you a sense of, are they even familiar about those terms? And if you see low volumes, then there's a chance that they're either not interested or they don't really know about those terms. Most important items by user are hidden. Probably they're hidden. So I will show you an example of this. Each point, I think I have an example to share on screen. Sometimes the most important items that users are actually interested in, because we know that this is a very important goal that they might have, they actually end up being hidden in your architecture or your site. It could be due to multiple factors. It's a lack of understanding of the user goals, or it's not even caring about presenting an IA that is aligned with the user goals. Some businesses will be happy as long as it's available, but they think of it completely out of context. And this is why I said we have to really look at designing around the user goal and not thinking about the good heuristics or the good usability heuristic that we need to follow. It has to be put into the context of a user in a sequence that is logical to them. And then maybe they're just not aware that this is something that users are actually interested in doing very often. And they don't understand that hiding it will actually maybe increase some of their costs. The other reason sometimes is maybe they don't want to have too many options at the top, or they don't want to have too many options on the navigation because they want the white space. They want some white space. They want to be able to breathe. Guess what? Users are not coming here to breathe or to meditate. They're actually coming to do something. So you will hear that. You will hear we need to have white space. We are white. We want to have space. We want our site to breathe. It's a brand. It's aligned with a brand. And you're going to hear that over and over. This is where you would probably do a lot of A/B testing, or you would try to insert and try and show the visits that by having the link on the top navigation, the new visits that it will generate, and maybe your cost, your reduction in phone calls as well, if you can track that. This is how you're going to convince them. But you're going to hear white and white, and guess what? White and white, no white, and having what the user needs to on the navigation at the top or on the landing pages or any pages is more important than looking good. And this is again something that you will need to be able to have arguments or defend. Grouping items that do not belong together. I have some very good example to show you of that, and done without any research or minimum information about the user. And that's a very, very common mistake. We think as a business that we know exactly our user and what they want, but when it comes down to them actually being in front of your computer and trying to find things that they're interested in because they have a goal, you'll be amazed how we make it very difficult for them when there is this easy solution. And this is where usability testing becomes very handy for you, those of you who have done that. And I think Humber has a class. I teach it. I think it's a bachelor degree, but maybe it's also available as a certificate. It's very, very important. And I think this is how you're going to get so much insight about your user. So yes, in grouping items, I will show you that sometimes you have items that are too close or they're grouped together, they don't even belong together. We think of them as being together and belonging together, but they don't. And that can create confusion as well. And then you will see that sometimes we try to use metaphors that are not even related or not relevant. In my example that I will be sharing with you will show some of that too. So are there any other common errors that you are familiar or you've seen as either users or you've experienced that you want to share? You can type it in on top of my screen if you want, or in chat. Yes, others. Absolutely, Nelly. The others, miscellaneous. But I don't remember in which article I read this, but it's almost like people now, I think it's the category article. People haven't now understood what miscellaneous may mean, but absolutely, when you see other or more, right? If other is close to at least your top navigation, for example, and Sunwing has a sample of this, at least you can deduct that you will find everything else that you may not find. But what if you don't find what you're looking for and they still don't have what you're looking for on the other? And you're absolutely right. Other is the garbage place. It's where we just put everything that we don't really know where it fits. But often you're going to find very valuable items that should be available at the higher level in your tree. And I would say, look at FAQs. FAQ is really, really bad too. There's so much content on the FAQs. I did a full semester in my MBA about help, FAQs, help, and online support. And this is why I spent so much time on the user task, and when user are trying to accomplish something online. What is the best moment to actually help them and give them support FAQ? And this is where I've learned in my research. I did a complete literature review for the entire semester and wrote like a 50, 75 page report. That was my class. That was my only assignment for the semester. Most people they're not going to read FAQ, and they're actually really going to look at FAQ as a last minute resort. Everybody think they know how to use the internet, and in fact they do, right? We all use the internet. We're all very comfortable with the internet. Most of us are. Even if you're not, you have a bit of a sense. We don't believe that we need help. We just expect that, and in fact we don't, but we have a goal. We know what our goal is. And we will do everything that we can on our own. And then eventually we're probably going to look for FAQs. And then you have to decide at the right moment in the right format to show that. But a lot of us will not use FAQs, but often, unfortunately, FAQs are used for bad design. Poor design, not knowing about the user, or we think people will go to FAQs, but they don't. So what may happen, what probably happens most of the time, they're either going to call you or they're going to chat with you or going to leave, because if they don't find what they're looking for, they're actually going to abandon, and you may lose a customer, right? So yes, makes sense. If you already know what they ask, you may provide answer right away before they give up and had the FAQs. Absolutely. My rule about FAQs is, before you use FAQs, is you should really make sure that the information there's no other way to present the information or at the on screen, inside where they are, in the experience that they are, on the page that they are, at the moment that they are, and what they're trying to do. I think FAQs often are a sign that there's something that we haven't thought of, and we actually think that user will go elsewhere and look for. Guess what? The user is not going to start searching to see if there's something, an answer to the question, when they're actually trying to make a booking for you. And that is what FAQ does, and that is how FAQ are not the best tool, because the user is not going to interrupt what he's trying to do and then look if there's the answer elsewhere. He will not do that. So if you are going to provide support, the support has to be there. So you see, sometimes you're going to see a little I, you're going to see a little help, right? And then they'll click to get more information. Maybe you're going to see you're on a form and they don't really know what that specific field is or where to find that information. And then you may have a little help or a little question mark or something there. That is acceptable. That is okay. But again, perhaps if it's because you didn't use a good label, then you should have used a good label in the first place, right? Maybe the label is the issue. But let's say that the label is not the issue and you still want to provide them more help. Then provide the help there, right? The help needs to be provided at the moment on the form where they are. Do not think that user will suddenly going to start going and searching for their answer elsewhere than where they are. They will not do that. And in fact, if they leave the place or the space, the page that they're on, then maybe if they're buying, you're going to lose a customer, right? So absolutely. Other miscellaneous, you will see tons of examples of them. And then we can learn about card sorting as a method of getting the user involved and getting insight and getting to know the users. But IAs, you design the IAs, but once the IA is done, this is where your job starts. You need to optimize, you need to have data, you need to have analytics, you need to know how are people actually consuming, where are they dropping, where are they having issues, and this is through research. So let's look at some example. So the common error, categorize around your business, your structure, your department. So this is on Sunwing. I like to pick on them. Contact us. So this is a contact us. Okay, contact us is a very, very cost impact journey. So there is a chance when someone wants to contact Sunwing or when a customer wants to contact Sunwing, they actually really have to contact you. They really want to contact you. And if they don't find what they're looking for online, what will happen? And I'm a customer. I'm about to travel and I can't find what I'm looking for. What's going to happen most likely as a customer? Yes, they're probably going to panic. Yes, there might be a bit of panic, Edric, and what else? Then once the panic is over, what might happen? So I lost my luggage and I want to contact, and for some reason I can't find what I'm looking for. Yes, they're going to be very frustrated. They might actually be very, very upset, right? Rarely will they contact us when they're happy to tell us how good of a job that you've done. But they're probably very upset. They're probably very disappointed, decided not to use it again. Yes, because people unfortunately remember the bad experience more than the good experiences. They will call you or they will talk to a chat. They will talk to someone on the chat or they will send an email, right? So it will do all of this. Plus, if they call us, it's a phone call for something that could probably be very well answered online. So this is what you find. So let's say you try to contact Sunwing, and then this is on the main page. This is on the main landing pages, and I've pointed that to you a little while ago. But there's this big header called Relay Service. What is Relay Services? We don't even know what that is. And then we see call, contact, 1-800 voice. Guess what? If this is the first telephone number that you will see, people will just going to call that number, and it may at all not be the number that you want to reach out. Now you're pissing them off even more, right? And this has a lot of negative effect on the customer. Now you're calling a department that is not even yours, right? So really services means nothing. So whether this is a category or this is a header or this is a heading for the type of maybe queries or questions that you have, because maybe they're using Relay Services to give you an indication that for the type of questions that you might have. And I think this is really what they're trying to do by Relay Services. I don't know what Relay Services is. And I worked in this industry for about 10 years, okay? So I see that as a customer. Then that means nothing for me. I can abandon, or I may just pick up the phone and call that number that I see there, right? People will not necessarily going to be listening or reading what this is. And I think it's for people that have impairment, deaf, heart, or speech enabling. But again, I don't want my regular customer to be calling this. Relay Services is pointless. Then we have the click here more, and I'm not going to go on more details. So that is one way of on your contact pages, for something to be having this much visibility on the page and not really being clear in what it means, you're just going to generate more calls to the wrong telephone number. You're going to piss people off. So I would challenge that specific item. Also, why would that be before FAQs? Why would that be online above airline information? Why would that be then above something that says we are here to help you? You see how they have a challenge of even structuring the actually the content on the page itself and the priority of the items on the page itself. So there are multiple things happening here. Now my favorite is this one that I put in red next to the flight, next to the little plane. So great, cute little plane. Probably, it's related to flights, to my flight, perhaps, maybe not. The little clock could mean many things, but I'm forced. I have to read what the information is here. So submitting a claim for compensation under the Canadian Air Passenger Protection Regulations regarding a Sunwing Airlines flight delay or flight cancellation. Okay. So what does this tell you as a customer? So you come into Sunwing and you actually want to contact them, and because you have specific questions, or maybe you had a flight delay, or maybe you just had a delay. You went to on the Sunwing vacation, and you had a major delay, and you just want to contact them, and you want to submit a claim, or you want to submit a form. And this is probably maybe the first thing that you will see on the page at this particular point. So you see this, submitting a claim for compensation under the Canadian Air Passenger Protection Regulation. So this is a hyperlink. This will take you to a page. So this is part of your this is part of your structure. You make choices. This page leaves somewhere. So first of all, most people don't probably know what Canadian Air Passenger Protection Regulation is. Regarding a Sunwing airline flights, then okay, well, yes, I went on the Sunwing flight, but I also went on an all-inclusive hotel vacation packages. So this, I may think that it applies, or I may think that it does not apply. I just have a delay or flight cancellation. So I would probably pick that option. But you're making me think a lot by talking to me in terms of the Canadian Air Passenger Regulation, protection regulations. How do I know that I'm actually qualified? Do I care? I just had a flight delay. So why make it such of a long paragraph and long sentences when really I just want flight delay and flight cancellation? So they're trying to make them think about, well, are you qualified or are you not qualified? Are you qualified according to the Canadian Air Passenger Protection Regulations? Actually, it's not a hyperlink. I underlined this because I wanted to bring your attention to it. But there's no information. It doesn't say anything. And then it says delays or cancellation must be for Sunwing airline flights to and from Canada advised within 14 days of departure. Okay, so what if I have left or I haven't left? I have left and I'm beyond or I'm PR. So anyway, there are a lot of things happening here. So what user may do, they may actually click and go through the process, or they may abandon, or they may call me, or they may email me, or they may actually put a claim that is not relevant, because most people will not know if they are eligible to the Canadian Air Passenger Protection Regulations. So that is what is happening for the user. So we're asking them to make to be aware of a condition of being, the condition is you have to be eligible to the Canadian Air Passenger Protection Regulations, which they probably don't know and which they're probably going to look for. So they may just go through the process and hope that someone will get back to them. Now, Sunwing may actually have to dispatch a lot of those requests. Multiple reasons. They may actually not be eligible, or they are eligible, which is good. And that may create even more delays, right? So it would really be, I've got a flight delay and I want to submit a claim for flight delay. That's it. Then Sunwing should go through the process of, because Nelly said, perhaps should it be your flight got delayed or canceled? Absolutely. And then we can find ways that maybe we can try to dispatch that customer if we want or not. But every time you ask them to make a decision, the chances are he may actually not know. And in this case, he doesn't know, but he knows that he had a flight delay. I had a flight delay or flight cancel. I want to get a compensation. Now, I may or may not be eligible. They'll make me do that work. And there's so many conditions to be eligible for under that act. I know it because I've implemented. This was implemented after I came in. That was definitely not the experience that I have suggested that they would do. my recommendation was about you got a flight delay, delay or cancel. And maybe you can ask a few questions about how long was the flight delay? And but the law talks about, is it a voluntary mechanical delay? The consumer doesn't know, but my stakeholder were trying to get me to have the customer to answer because they wanted to make sure that the form will go to the right person. And I was saying, no, they don't. We can't ask the customer. Well, was it mechanical? Was it not mechanical? Is like they were, and I'm not lying about this. Like, this is what your stakeholder will ask you to do. And you're going to have to think back about the customer. Well, is the customer aware? Can the customer answer? Can the customer answer those questions? He doesn't. So, but definitely the user goal here, I got a flight delay and my flight was delayed or canceled. Then take me through that journey. So all of what they need at this point, and I would probably say this thing has to be probably at the very top because it's something that happens a lot. But then the business said, we want to make it lower because we don't want to put too much visibility on it. So that was a conscious choice, right? And when we talk about I's and the priority of the items, that's a very good example where you have to align with the business too. But they need to be prepared that people may actually call to see where is that information? How do I actually place the claim? So we are relying here a lot on consumer for items that they may not know and may be aware of. So that is the customer experience. And I would go, got a flight delay or cancel, and then you can have that as a hyperlink. My flight was delayed, got canceled, and then submit a claim or information, whatever, learn more about. Like, there's many things that you could do, but you can do better than what they're presented. And then you can look at what the rest of the experience is, but always keeping in mind that will the customer know what the answer to this is? Should he know? Should he care? Should he not care? He does not know about your processes. He doesn't know about the terminology. He does not know about the law. So, but at Sunwing, we wanted to make it very complicated for customer to actually place a claim. So this is the reality because it's very expensive. This law was very expensive. And when the law was introduced, a lot of the airlines were very upset. And then the intent was not necessarily to make it very easy for consumer to actually place a claim. So that is the kind of situation that you may actually face too. This is where you have to become very diplomatic and listen. Sometimes walk away, go away, think about it. And maybe this is where you need to do some convincing too. And maybe this is where you need to do some maybe testing too as well. But it will happen. This will happen in your career, and it probably is happening for some of you. One other common error that you will see is grouping the items that do not necessarily belong together. So here's a very good example of related to a user goal, the user goal. So the user came to this form. So I think it's the same thing. It's submit a claim, submit your claim. And really the user goal was, I do want to submit my claim, right? I want to submit a new claim. Now on this form, this is where I get to this form. And then I see that sign in with your booking number to start a new claim or to view an existing claim. But I said that I want to submit a claim. I haven't talked about looking at an existing claim. Is that an issue, or is that an issue or not an issue? Perhaps it is, perhaps it's not. But it's really hard to see on the screen. But then you have to put your booking number and then go next. Then below it, there's a hyperlink that says, check the status of your existing claim. And it's right close to the text field. That is a completely different goal, different user goal. So why is that user goal not here, right? It's a completely different thing as a user that I'm actually looking for, that I'm trying to do. And if I'm looking for checking the status of my claim on this page, I will not find it, and never will I go to submit my claim. So this is a very good example of a very poor lack of knowledge or thinking in terms of the customer goal. You will see that all the time, multiple places. So knowing the customer goal is really, really key. And if I'm looking for checking the status of my claim here, and it's not at all, I haven't seen it on the Sunwing contact page, then I will be forced to call you. Really, or I don't see why would someone to even go to submit your claim. That's not what I want. I have a claim. I don't want to submit my claim. And I will tell you, often people are very, very scared of clicking on items because they think that they're committing. Maybe submitted claim is not a good example, but in the buy flow, a small change of a label may make a big difference about user whether or not they will continue or not. You know that the clicking on the button may actually not complete the purchase or complete the booking, but they don't. And I've seen in testing where they were so unsure that they would not even click, and then they would either abandon or they would call you, which is the last thing that you want to do. So this example is they should have a separate flow for checking your existing claim so that you would go through a different flow, a different panel, and a different experience. Or, yeah, you just want to check your existing claim, but perhaps checking your existing claim takes you to another journey. So perhaps maybe you could use the same functionality that says you can start a new claim, or you can actually check the status, give us your booking number. And then when they go next, then you could say, oh, here's your claim status. Or you would know if they have a claim. And if they don't, then you take them through the path. But at this point is really, really problematic for the user. The other thing that they've done wrong, that they could have done better, that they've actually tried to mimic almost what password, forgot password. If you think of it very quickly and you don't even read the label, we're used to see a field where I want to sign in, right? Or I want to log in. I want to go to my booking whatsoever. You're going to have a field where you can put your login name or your booking number, and then you go log in and you go next. And below your field, often you're going to have forgot my password. It looks like they're trying to use like something known in a metaphor for something that is completely not related to what people have used to. They may not even look and may not even read this information, or they read it, but it's just very, very odd. So that is the customer experience. Now, from the stakeholder experience or from the Sunwing experience, are they compliant? Are they offering customer who have been affected by the Canadian Air Passenger Protection Regulation? Have they provided customer a mean by which they can submit a claim? Yes, they have. They can say, Canada Transportation Regulation Agencies. Yes, customer can go to Contact Us. It's super easy to find. It's available on Contact Us. It's a link on Contact Us. Customer have their rights. They can look for the Canadian Air Passenger Protection Regulation if they want. They have to search for it, but we're okay with that because we kind of want them to quit and abandon. But yes, it's available for them. Can passengers look at the status of their request? Yes, they can look at the status of their request. We're making that available to them as well. Yes, from business, you can do check, but from a customer, you've actually pretty much failed. So, and this will cost money because people will call, people will be pissed, and people will be very upset, let alone your process, let alone your customer relationship people that are dealing with these requests, okay? This one, so this is another one that I thought you would appreciate. So confusing label. So it's confusing, whether confusing label is the right term or not, or mixing up concepts, or not being clear on what this thing is actually doing and mixing it with something else that actually does the same thing. So this is on Sunwing as well. Now, there are two parts. 80% of people that come to Sunwing on the homepage, this is pretty much what they come for. They actually look for packages. So first of all, it's knowing the user. So this is a customer who's actually looking for a vacation. My user go, I'm looking for a vacation. I may know exactly where I want to go. I may not know where I want to go. I'm giving them the flexibility, right? So, but most people buy. So I'm sharing with you, knowing the user goal, knowing the priority. So we were, and Sunwing is already making decision and assumption, and that's okay too. So in your design or in your IA or in your wireframe or your experience, which is all related to what you guys are trying to do, you can make default selection, or you can make assumption to make default selection and say, I'm going to first of all design for my primary audience, or for the 80-20% rule. If I know that 80% of my customer will come, or they come online and they are regular consumer looking for all-inclusive packages, this is what I sell as a business, so this is very relevant. Most customers will come as to buy packages. I can decide to make packages my default, right? I can already design an experience that assumes a regular customer who's not a customer yet, who wants to book a package, because that's what we sell, and that is acceptable. As long as you give the option for those that are not looking for a package to also change from packages to perhaps flights, to perhaps hotels, to perhaps cruises, or perhaps cars. And you can do that. Now, here are the issues with the things that I've put in red. This is called Find Your Perfect Vacation Now. Great. And people know. And in fact, most people may actually not even notice this, because they're so used that when they're looking for a vacation to see a search tool. Now, we talk about information architecture. It's about browsing. It's about categories and browsing. It's also about searching. So this is a very good example of searching, right? I'm searching. I'm not just browsing here. I'm actually searching. I may know where I want to go, or I may not know. So if I don't know, then I just leave it here, right? But I know where I'm from. So I'm going to be traveling from Toronto. I may just leave it to all countries, or I can do all Caribbeans, or I can do Cancun, or I can do Cuba. So here you're designing for someone who knows, who doesn't really know. He's actually just wanting to be inspired, right? So we talk about searching very specific or very broad. This is how we've accommodated this. Departing, I may not know necessarily which day. Maybe it's a month, but I don't have that functionality here. I can only do departing by a specific date. Now, I would say a lot of people will know, but some people are flexible on any days. So, but we're not doing this here. But let's say that we were. Maybe you could say departing on, I could pick a specific date, or I can say sometime in May, sometime in April. I have vacations, or I'm flexible, I'm retired. Then at this point, you're actually accommodating the person who's actually flexible. What's the benefit of maybe giving them the option to look for a specific date? Someone has any idea or insight? It's how it prevents me from having to look for each day or each week, right? If I say I'm open to look at May, then you get the best or vacations in the month of May, right? So instead of having to search, let's look on Monday, April 20th, let's look on 21st, 22nd, and then looking at every day. So at a glance, you can actually see what your options are for a given month. Not going for, so how many days whatsoever. So I'm actually looking, I'm active. Now I'm looking for my perfect vacation, right? Now there's this thing called Try Vacation Finder. Now you have this thing below Vacation Finder too. So these are one of the same. So when you think of it as a customer, you are already in the process of looking for a vacation. How is trying Vacation Finder different? Why is it even called Vacation Finder when I'm already in an experience of looking for a vacation? There's a few things. I may actually never go to this, or I may go to this specific tool because I'm just curious, right? So this is a mix of, it's not just the label. There's nothing really wrong with the label. Actually, I would even question, why did we even architect something called Vacation Finder when there's already a flow for finding a vacation? What did we need to build in Try Vacation Finder that we could not make available in this experience? These are the questions that I would ask. But here's what happened. Someone had this great idea of having a more advanced Vacation Finder. So think of Vacation Finder as the advanced. Yes, user can Vacation Finder. It's advanced. It's redundant. it's actually redundant. In this concept, it's redundant. What I would say is, what are we trying to do through this other vacation finder? But what happened is someone had this great idea of having something called vacation finder that would give them more advanced searches, which is good because we know that some customer needs more advanced searches, right? But calling it try a vacation finder when you're already in experience is the wrong terminology, because in their mind, they are looking for a vacation. So they may go, what am I going to find here that I'm not going to find here? And then also, does this mean I have to go to both places to be able to find the best vacation, as opposed to call it advanced search or advanced search, which people are very familiar with, right? I'll tell you, Try Vacation Finder is just an advanced search. It's just another way to give them the flexibility. So I talked earlier about departing on the monthly. Any month, Vacation Finder will do that. Vacation Finder, if you don't know about the hotel, you can be very, very vague about the hotel, but you can shop by hotel based on what you like. So you can shop by hotel that are family. You can shop by hotel that are adults only. You can shop by hotels that have great amenities. You can shop by hotels that have the best towel. You can shop by hotels that have the pillow menu at night that you can say, I want a pillow that smells apple. Okay? The vacation finder is trying to do what travel agents do. And then from a business, it makes a lot of sense. Then we wanted for the consumer to have their own answers, right? But it all revolves around the customer. What is the customer trying to do? It's all very relevant, but there's a chance that people are actually not clicking on it. So in fact, that's what we found. What we found is people were not going to Vacation Finder. So I did this. I did an A/B test. I did an A/B testing to show what would happen if I add Try Vacation Finder. At least in that journey, right? It's here. It's together. Not the best label. And it's confusing in terms of what is this doing different. I wanted to call it advanced search, but it was impossible. This was branded. There was almost a trademark around Try Vacation Finder, because this is an idea that someone has gotten internally, and they were so proud of it, there was no way we could touch it. So this is a very good example of structuring around someone or an idea or something that makes sense to the business, but actually it does not make sense to the user. You're going to face this. You're going to face this all the time. But what will help you is think back to the customer. So I was okay to at least bring it as part of the experience so that eventually they would encounter. And then as a user, I can search, or I can actually click on Try Vacation Finder. And that takes me to complete different experiences, and I have to start all over again. So there are multiple issues with this particular experience, but it's hard. It was hard to try to fix it all the time. But adding this little Vacation Finder here as part of the information architecture, or as part of the experience of searching for a vacation, improve visits by about 500%, even more. Like, a small change will make a big difference. What happens? I believe that this Vacation Finder here is out of sight. You don't see that Vacation Finder. Plus, it's out of context. And as I said, most people on the Sunwing will start here, pick, search. They don't go to the bottom. People are not going to go to the bottom to see, is there something else? It's like, think of you when you go to Loblaws, unless you're really just browsing and for ideas for food, and you're going to go through all the aisles, right? You're going to go to Costco and go through the aisles to see if they have something new and shiny that you don't. That's not what people do when they come to Sunwing necessarily, unless they're really just looking for inspiration. But nobody wakes up in the morning and say, I'm going to go to Sunwing today and see what they have. I'm bored and I want to be entertained. I'm going to go to Rogers today and look at what they have on their beautiful website. No, they don't. So they're very, very task focused, and you will learn that the user, and if you do more of usability and UX and research, at this particular time, their eyes are only here, only in this area. They don't see this. They're not seeing any of this. They are in here. This is where they are. They are in this area, and they will continue, and they trust that you're telling them what to do, and they will search. Now, what I have found for my analytics is in Google Analytics, you can track all of the clicks and everything that people will do. But you can also see what happens to consumer that actually goes and use a Try Vacation Finder. It was really, really powerful. What I found is customer who actually use the Vacation Finder, their conversion rate, so from all the people that actually come to Vacation Finder, from all the people who click and go through Vacation Finder, how many of them end up buying? 3.5%. You'll say that's a very small number. Well, everybody else who doesn't, but everybody else who comes through this experience on the Sunwing side and use search, only 0.17 of them convert versus this number. So there was multiple reasons why I moved Vacation. I've added a link is because I know people convert better. So I was using data. And trying to give it more visibility. And the people that actually use Vacation Finder find it very useful. It's a very useful tool. And it does what the Vacation does, but I think there's room for a better experience overall about it. So that is enough about the Vacation Finder. Now, a common error that I've mentioned is hiding items. So it's one thing to do a good IA, but you need to make sure that you are surfacing or you're providing quick access to the things that people actually want to do more often. So your IA, you have to make some decisions. Unfortunately, one error that we see is people will hide key items. Multiple reasons. So I did say, maybe they just don't know really about the user goal. Maybe they just don't know the priority and how often someone wants to use that specific option. Maybe they just want the page to look nice, fresh, and clean, and have some white space, right? Those are all very bad reasons. So Sunwing actually just made some changes. I was actually going to look for something very specific, and I think I did with this class. They used to have a link called Sunwing Airlines in here, and I think I shared with you. This is a good example of something around design or a choice made around their business. And Sunwing Airline is managed separately from Sunwing Vacations, and the VP at Sunwing Airlines is very loud. So he will say, I want this, and he will look you to you the eyes and until you do it for him. So, and that's how he's got away with a lot of the things that he's done. So no matter how data, he will just, impose it. And then sometimes you just have to do it. And that's, you will face that too from time to time. But that's not the vast majority of the cases. So they've removed, at least they removed Sunwing Airlines from the top navigation. But then in my discovery this morning, just before the class, I found that they've implemented sign-in. So this is new, creating an account, being able to create an account, a Sunwing account, and have access to members, privilege only. Great, they've done that. And then they also did the social media. I can log in with my Facebook. I can log in with my Google. Took them a year to implement. So it's there. But then there used to be an option for my booking. So this option, my booking option, used to be at the top navigation. It used to be here. Why? 2 million customers travel every season on Sunwing every year, but most of the travel at Sunwing, 75% of the travel happens in the winter season. That is November to April. For the last 15 years, there was a choice called My Booking. It's an option that a lot of users will do. It's an option that is very, very important, and people have been trained to find it to the top of the navigation. So you should never move that. What's going to happen? It's probably going to create a lot of phone calls. People are going to be calling. They're going to say, where's my booking? I used to have my booking. I can't find it. It's under signed in. So we talked earlier about a user goal. Wanting to sign in is very different than wanting to look at your booking. Now, if you look at the competitive, if you look at Air Canada, if you look at WestJet, it's almost a standard. You're going to have something for My Booking, View Booking, My Booking, Bookings, right? My Bookings. But to have now My Bookings below, under, as part of sign-ins, hidden, is a really, really bad choice. I'm afraid they're going to be getting a lot of phone calls. Now, if someone was arguing, then I would probably do an A/B testing, and that will probably going to be maybe a good case to show. But I do not need to do an A/B testing. to know that this is going to hurt. This is going to be really, really negative, perceived negative, and people will call, people will chat. Now, so that's that thing. You're increasing your support call. The second thing, my booking is where I can do everything. I can do my web check-in. I can do my booking. Web check-in is also an option that was also available. That was really, really something that people want to do very often. Is no longer there. So it's gone. I don't know where they've put it. So you see, I think all of what they're trying to do here, they're trying to make it look clean. So they're trying to make it look clean, pure. And I will share my screen with you. And you will see that this will happen. This will happen in real life. There's wanting to be clean, but there's also wanting to not impact your customer, impact your business. But so right now, there's nothing really that speaks about me as a customer who actually wants to look at my booking or do my online check-in. There is nothing. So this is a really, really bad decision. Now, and I think the reason is because they want to look clean and pure, because I know I was part of those discussions when we were actually designing the new sign-in functionality. Someone said, it's the time to actually clean. There's too much items. I said, hold on. Why? Why do we want to clean? There's let's clean, but let's make sure that we actually are not throwing the baby in the bath. I think there's an expression that talks about that. So these are bad examples, or don't. And then they're probably going to see that less people are going to my bookings because they're not going to find it. If that's how to navigate to it, they're probably going to get phone calls, and then it will actually increase their business. And the last thing, this is my booking is where I can go and do all the purchases of my ancillary services. This is why I do my seat selection. This is why I buy my meal before my flights. This is why I buy my extra luggages, my weight luggages. This is why I buy the things to do. My Blackboard is frozen, but hopefully you can still hear me. It happens when I sometimes change windows. And I've been told it's maybe because we have students joining in and students leaving, changing classes, coming to Blackboard, leaving Blackboard. Can someone tell me that you can still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. I don't know if you can see me. It's maybe frozen, but
yes,
I'll
we can
continue.
see you.
Okay, good. Well, you're lucky. Me, I can't see anything, and I click on things and nothing comes up. So again, what is wrong? What is common with all of these major errors that you will see that we all do when we come to doing IA or making choices, presenting options to users at the right moment? What is common with some of the 2 or 3 or 4 scenarios that maybe explain what has happened and why has that happened? Anybody has a bit of an idea or a guess that you want to share?
Guys, maybe you should say it in the microphone, what you're writing. Ives, can you see what we're typing?
I think he froze. I cannot hear him anymore.
And
My apology. I had to close my entire Chrome. I could see that most students are still here, and hopefully you can hear me, right? And you should probably see me as well. I can see myself now. So I don't know why this is happening I don't know if it's a Chrome issue, but my apology. Now, if anybody has given some answers to what was in common with all the example that I share with you, there was really one thing in common. I don't know if you provided any answer. If you did, my apology. But here's is what is really in common is form goes ahead of function. Yes, there's a form that goes ahead of function. Absolutely. Now, there's also, if we think about the user, right? I think there's a huge lack of understanding of the user. It always happened when I used Chrome for a long time. Okay, great. So I don't know, maybe I'll have to do to try a different browser when it comes to Blackboard. Yes, form and function. I think in a more simplistic way is the lack of understanding of the user goals and trying to mix everything together, trying to save time, trying to save space, trying to make pretty, but it's the lack of understanding of what the user impact will be. So this is why I keep telling you, you have to start from the customer. Customer stage, which stage am I in? When I'm my booking, I'm a post-purchase. I'm actually pre-travel, right? Maybe I'm at the stage where I'm just about to travel. Maybe I'm at the stage where I'm actually during travel. Maybe I'm the stage where I'm post-travel as well. I want to place a complaint when I'm in the post-travel stages. So designing for micro journeys, and if you think back at the framework that I presented to you on day one, it will help you to design the best IA, the best experiences for your customer. Let's see if I can find the deck. It's really putting yourself in the customer journey and also thinking about what do they know and what don't they know. What can I ask them? Will they know what the answer is? And if they don't, then think of something else. Think of another way of asking or getting to what you try to do as a business. But thinking your customer journey, thinking about your business. The business, my booking business pillar or priority is actually to get customer to go to their booking and to be able to find the things that they want and do it themselves and also buying ancillary services. They're failing. They're actually hidden. And the first question is, where can I find? Where is that option to me as a customer? And then as a customer, for my booking, they know about your brand, they know about your business, they're an existing customer. In fact, you've trained them for about 20 years to go to my bookings, to find what they're looking for, right? They're probably very motivated, they have knowledge, but now you're making it very difficult for them. If you ask Sunwing, they'll say, it's a great architecture. It's available. Check, done. We're providing them. Claim, check, done. It's all done. We're done. Move on. Let's do something else. Meanwhile, the customer is actually going through a maze or not even able to do the simple things. So a good eye is easy. It's actually, anybody can do a tree. Anybody can do a tree and have multiple levels and layers in it. Anybody. And you'll learn how to do diagram. You can use Visio. You can learn many tools. The most difficult things is to do an AI that is actually useful and meaningful and based on the user goal. The most difficult part is understanding your user and who is behind your IA. So I hope these little examples will help you. The tree diagrams, you see them all. You see trees all the time. But before I go in to I continue, are there any questions about some of the common errors or some of the examples that we've just looked at? Okay, I hope you are getting more and more familiar with my process, the framework, where I begin. I always begin from a user goal. So this is a very good example of trees. We're just going to look at hierarchical structure and a sample. This is me. This is my G drive. So this is a very good example of a structure, right? And then the good news about G drive is I have control of actually how I label. how I structure. But you do that all the time. You structure, you create sections on G Drive. So I have a section called BDS 40. This is one class that I teach. Then I have a big project called Big Project. Then I have a folder that I call Sign NDA. And then in my folder, then I have all of my signed NDAs. So I created this, but this is trying to structure my classes. Obviously, the top of the tree is my class, my course number, right? Then below it, I have many options that I can design. But I chose to come out with categories that actually is relevant for me. And I know that I will be able to, that I will need to refer to them very often. But this is not any different than IA, than doing an information architecture when you think of it. My goal is to be able to manage my class and have the information that I need, have all of the files in one place that I can refer to it, so that I do good teaching, I do good course delivery, and it's aligned. This is somehow aligned with also Blackboard when I think of it. And this is what the users, the students are familiar with, but this is for me as a user. But I've decided on the categories. Then I also had to decide about the names, right? Now, I do know that I'm going to be sharing this folder with a company that we actually do a project in that class. So I'm going to be giving them access to the Sign NDA folder. Now I had to think about what will make sense to them. What will make sense to them, and also what will facilitate the retrieval of the information. So if I would have called all of these the same name, it would have made no sense for my clients. But I chose to use Humber and DNA, and I put Alessandro. So I put the name of the students or the teacher, so that my client can actually pull the NDNAs, and he will know that it's Humber NDNA. And then he can also save as is, right? But at least he will know Humber. And maybe he's got other NDNAs. Maybe she or he has a folder called NDNA, right? And NDNA is non-disclosure agreement, for those of you that are not familiar with. So we had to sign an NDNA because we're going to be hearing from their business. And vice versa, we're going to be sharing things about Humber. So I wanted to facilitate, make it easy for me to retrieve, but also make it easy for anybody else who doesn't know to at least know that this is a Humber NDNA, and it's actually attached to that students if they want. So that is an example of a tree. You see many, many trees on the internet. You see many trees, and this is why you're doing this class. You want to be better at it. But, and this is probably hard to see. I don't know that I can really increase the size, but browse by category. So this is, I believe, it's, I can't really even tell what this is. I took this from the previous teacher. But you have your top categories. I think this is a newspaper, and then they have browse by topics, and then they have about us as well. Let's see if I can find this file from my folder. I think better. My apology. See, this is not being aware of the context, and when I do it for my screen, it's easy, but then in the context of Blackboard, it's more limited. Let's just see if this is bigger, but I have to share my screen with you. Hold on, bear with me. This one. Okay, great. Hopefully this is going to be a bit bigger. In this. So I don't know if this is much bigger, but it's a little bit bigger on my screen. Can you see a little bit better the logo and the categories? I can't see the camera and I cannot see the chat, so someone will have to tell me.
Yeah, I think we can use the zoom in option that we have on the top left corner.
Oh, okay. I should even be aware of. So hopefully, can you see better at least at this point?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you. So yeah, it's a BuzzFeed news. So this is a newspaper link. So I just wanted to share with you some of the categories that you will see. The BuzzFeed. Well, if I'm already on the BuzzFeed news, and this is just me sharing, and what I'm doing now is I'm doing thinking loud. So thinking loud is I'm sharing with you what I see and what comes to mind, and you will do that. You will do that when you do usability testing. So you could do that with anybody in front of your designer, in front of your IA. So you could do this informally or very formally. But so you're asking me to actually think loud, which I do, and I share with you what I see. BuzzFeed. I'm already on BuzzFeed News. BuzzFeed. What is BuzzFeed? So you see, this is a very good example of, unless everybody knows what BuzzFeed is, which I doubt everybody does, what if I just found BuzzFeed on the internet by Google, right? By Googling. And I see something about BuzzFeed. I don't know what to get there. I'm already on the BuzzFeed. What more am I going to get? How is this relevant? It's probably all the news. Well, just call them news. And why do I say that? It's because next to it, I have quizzes. So maybe it's the Buzz. Maybe the BuzzFeed is their BuzzFeed, but it's redundant. No, it's not adding value. It's redundant. And you would have to do a lot of branding. But why? It's expensive. Then quizzes. Then I have VSCO girls. Okay, I don't know what that is. Shopping, I know. I'm probably going to be able to shopping items with them. News, TV and movies, and trending. Well, so I still don't know what BuzzFeed is. I would probably be curious and click on it. Now, I can also browse sections. So I can see animals. So these are one way of doing categories per section or per topic. You can almost think that these are per topics. And these are in alphabetical order. So we're kind of touching latch. I told you last week, there's one way you can think about categorization or structuring or arranging, organizing your content. One of them is using the latch, the location, or the topics or the categories, or the dates as well, the chronology as well. So they're using alphabetical order, as Latch has said, and they have a bunch of topics in order. Then they have the About Us as well. Now, we would have to look at the categories that they have on the browse section. Are they really, perhaps, and I think they're probably very mutually exclusive, and I think they're pretty much conventional to what we've seen, right? And then you have a bunch of articles to the right-hand side and things that you can browse through. But so they're using a bit of what we've seen. Their categories are probably by topic, but then you have these categories at the top: shopping news. Shopping is a category slash very verb action. I do know that I'm probably going to be browsing and be shopping, and it's okay. It's okay to mix categories like animals or topics in alphabetical order, and also mix shop, buy, my bookings, support, customer support, because it's about the user goal, right? So you may think, well, I'm not being consistent. And one of the rule or one heuristic is being consistent. But you don't want to be consistent for the sake of being consistent. But if you go back to the user goal, and what is the user, and what are the business goal and the business priority, and from a user to show support or show bookings versus news or topics, it's okay, because you're going to help them to actually find and accomplish their goal. So this is something that you want to be aware of as well. But if you do know what the priorities are for the user and the user goal in the business, you will not fail. You'll be fine. And you will not necessarily confuse user. In fact, you're going to help the 2 or 3 set of users that are coming to you to do something. This is another example of, okay, thank you. I just found the Zoom control. Thank you so much. Great, I like that. So this is another way, Amazon, to categorize items. And they have your hi, Sarah, and then you can see the things that you've done, the things that you've looked at. This is a way of you making choices about what am I going to present to a customer who comes to Amazon. But if we go to the top, to the very top, they have buy again, Sarah store, deal store, gift cards, sell, help. Then they have to the very top, hello, Sarah. So you're logged in, your orders, your Prime, and then you viewed what we recommend for you, looking for a gift, and then browse the store, the programs, and more, and then you can explore more. So there's a mix of categories, but seem aligned with what the business wants to push. put some recommendation for you, what you've seen, quick access. So the browse you view, what you've recently viewed, what it does, it helps you to when you come back, right? We've talked about the user probably, they're going to come back and forth. They're going to come see something they like, maybe you're going to save it, maybe not. How do I facilitate them to pick it up where they've left? And if you see a lot of G Drive, documents in G Drive or your Word document will say, hey, you're going to have on the right-hand side, I will say something about pick it up. So it's IA, and it's also how do we make it better? How do we speed up your goal completion as a customer? Then you see these typical trees and all architecture. So this is like an arc chart, but arc charts, business arc chart, are hierarchical structured. And then you have by locations or by destinations, right? So on Sunwing, you have some areas where you can actually browse by destinations. You also have areas where you can browse by topic, or you can browse your excursions depending on the type of excursion that you're interested in as well. So these are all possible options that you could do, and you can explore them if you want. And it's okay to mix them, but you probably don't want to mix them within the same category. But you just have to always think about the user and how much flexibility you want to give them without confusing them. But it's acceptable. So some of the best practices you will find is mutually exclusive. They have to be mutually exclusive if you can, but there will be time where it's difficult to do. And then some categories will be very specific to your industry or specific to your domain. You have to be as descriptive, meaningful, descriptive. You want the term or the label or the categories to be meaningful. Think of Buzz News, BuzzFeed. I'm in BuzzFeed or Buzz News, and I see BuzzFeed, Buzz News. I don't know what that is. Think of a relay service. I don't know what relay service is. Now I know more because I read about it. The chances are people are not going to read about it. Meaningful, speak my language. Furniture, store, bedroom, kitchen, chairs versus item to a user, or even the mental model. Maybe you want to use the metaphor. Maybe there's some metaphor that you can use. By metaphor, I mean, if I'm on the travel website, and maybe Sunwing will say, instead of calling my bookings, I'm going to call it my suitcase. I would say 10 years ago, some airlines have tried to do that. They thought it would be cute, but there's so many things that I can find in my suitcase that is actually nothing to do with my booking, nothing to do with my boarding pass, nothing to do with my invoice, nothing to do with my payment. But they were trying to use a metaphor that was cute, but it was actually confusing. Plus, or a user was just actually not going to it. So metaphors are a bit risky. Like cart, shopping cart, my bag. You're going to see these. You're going to see my bag, my shopping cart. Which one is best? I say probably my cart. I think my cart is what people know. My bag maybe is okay too. But how is my bag different than my shopping list, my list? The rule is call the things what they are. And then if you don't know, shop around, look around, use a keyword search. But it's really, really important, especially if it's going to be at the top. Sign in, login, that is one that sometimes you're going to have challenges with. Do I use sign in? Do I use login as well? Is login the same as retrieve my booking? No, it's not. You're already assuming, and this is probably another good point about structuring around your business. You may know that sign in will give you all my bookings and all of these things. You know that, but the customer doesn't. That's the other common error that we do. We know what we know, and we will make decisions based on that, but the consumer doesn't. So we have to think about what does he know and what he doesn't. And assuming that they will remember, now you're relying on recall. And if you know in psychology, recall takes a lot of effort versus recognition as well. So showing means you're helping me to recognize. Showing me my bookings on the top navigation, I don't have to remember that it's on the sign-in. It's there. But if you hide it on the sign-in, I have to remember that it's under my sign-in, which I may not remember and I may give up. So now you're using a lot of cognitive psychology and cognitive law. All these little things, because we don't know what happened when they go to my bookings. Maybe it's painful to even get to their bookings. And then when they get to their booking, maybe it's a bad experience. The chances are it's not optimal. then guess what? All these little things sum up, and then you get annoyed. And then you had a flight delay. Just so that, as an FYI, the travel industry is the industry that has the most obstacle/opportunities for failure. It has the most customer touch points. The customers are with you for a long time. So long that they're actually in the plane for sometimes for 7 hours. They're breathing over your neck. So it's a very, very long journey. And then they're at a hotel. Sunwing owns hotels. So they're at your hotel for 7 days. Then they come back on the plane. So there's just a lot happening. So how do you make decisions? So when you design your IA, I'm hoping you're starting to have a lot more arguments to decide on the priorities. So first of all, you need to understand what the business wants to do, what the business wants to accomplish, and what the business will accept and what the business will not accept. So for example, I wanted to use deals, but Air Canada was so against deals because they don't want to see us being cheap. That was a hard one to convince. What are the priority and what are they trying to do? Obviously, often they're trying to sell things, so that's an easy one. And too often they forget about the customer support to reduce costs, improve customer satisfaction, retain customer, right? So, and the user goal. You're never going to go wrong. If you know the business priority and the user goal, now sometimes it can be conflicting. This is where you have to take your negotiation skill and influence skills and be convincing. But you're not alone. There's data. Your own data will probably going to give you some insights to what others do as well. But sometimes you may have the CEO will say, I don't care what others do. But you have to have your data. But knowing the user goal. One piece of data that really, really helped me in the past is knowing why are people calling Sunwing. And this is how I've redesigned. On the home page, there's a full section that I have redesigned at Sunwing to include customer support elements. Let me show you that very quickly. Hopefully it's not going to crash on me. I'm going to share. And this is all relevant to designing your IA. So if you look at all the items in this area, in this quick links on screen, quick links, baggage information, seat selection, flight status, web check-in. These are all for a customer who are about to leave. This was none at all, nowhere to be found. Actually, there was a link at the top of Sunwing that was called Sunwing Airlines. And they were all available under Sunwing Airlines. In the eyes of Sunwing, can customer find quick link? Can customer find baggage information? Can customer find seat selection on Sunwing.ca? Yes, they can. Where? Sunwing Airlines. Okay, I'm a customer. I need baggage information. I'm about to travel. I'm looking for baggage information. I'm looking for flight status. I'm looking for flight alerts. I'm looking for these things. I'm not going to go to Sunwing Airlines. Sunwing was assuming that customer will know that it's Sunwing Airlines. This is where they'll find it because they're flying on the Sunwing Airlines. The customer doesn't. So if you remember, this is the equivalent of furniture. We were not thinking about furniture. I asked you for furniture, but you don't think of furniture when you think of your chair necessarily. You're not going to maybe even type in furniture, but you will think about chair, bed, bedroom, table, bedside table, all these things, which is the equivalent of baggage information. So I surface these items on the homepage, and then we've looked at, do we get less phone calls? Do we get better phone calls, better quality phone calls? In fact, what we found is we were getting less phone calls for those reasons, and we were actually getting more people to call. Our ratio of people buying of all people calling was actually improving and going higher. Because why? Because the people that were calling were really just calling to make a booking. So I think the ratio went from like 10 to 13%. That's pretty high when you get a lot of phone calls, right? How did I find Why did I decide on baggage? Why did I decide on seat selection? Well, these are user goals, things that people want to do. We have a frequently asked question on Sunwing. I've used that. I've looked at what are people typing in, where are people going when they, what are people typing in? Because we have a place where on the FAQ you can actually type your request. So I've looked at the most popular search items, and this, what you see here is what people are searching on. It's also what people were calling about, were calling for. So that was really, 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 really powerful, and to do at Sunwing. And this is part of knowing the user goal, and knowing at which stages they are, and then that will influence you. It was not too difficult to argue, but if you notice, it's below the vacation search. I have to scroll a little bit to find it, but most people are coming to Sunwing to buy. But you have a percentage of people that are calling to be able to look for baggage information and seat selection. That's unavoidable. But sometimes this is where you have to give and take. So let's continue with our Sunwing, our deck. So we've looked at best practices, and then we've looked at how to prioritize. So include the highly visible items at the top, or at the top of your navigation. So if we go back to the things that you know that people will come and will do very often, very regularly, you should include them at this level as much as you can in your information architecture. And it's okay to have more than 3 items. And this is where soon we're going to talk about breadth versus depth, but it's okay to have more than 2 or 3 items, because if you're helping users to meet their goal and finding goals on their own and not have to call you, we all succeed. So you will have to, but you need to know about who are the user and what the business and how the business will support you. So highly visible. Remember, Sunwing is actually hiding my bookings to under signing, which is nothing to do with signing. Aim for high search volume. So I've told you about, there's a way that you can find out, are people even searching on these items? And you will know also if they're searching on your FAQ to help you. What are people searching all the time? So, and this is the only way that I found out about why I should do the quick link as well. Then there are many ways that you can actually divide up, categorize, group your items. So I share with you, maybe you group them by products. If you see Sunwing is all inclusive, vacation, hotels, we've seen Amazon has, books, apparels. If you go to Roots Canada, we'll have women, men, they'll have hats, they'll have top, they'll have bottom. Use your industry. Maybe sometime you want to categorize by user role as well. And I did say, maybe you want to assume a specific type of customer who are looking for a vacation, who have purchased, but then facilitate the customer that are coming back, which is what Quick Links is trying to do. Sometimes you do by popularity as well. The most visited, the most often used, trending, hot. So you see that, right? And it's okay sometimes to mix that. Your lines of business. Sometimes you want to go with line of businesses. So if we quickly look at Rogers, a way to do line of businesses, and the chances are the customer will know. They'll know what kind of service do they have. And let's look at support. So do I have a wireless? Do I have internet? Do I have TV, home, phone? I know what services that I have with you. And that's for if I have wireless and my questions. And this is what Rogers is pretty much asking you to do first, right? Wireless internet, then I will click wireless. Then I will continue my journey and hoping that they will take me through the process. So this is acceptable too. Now, what if I have more than one service? What if I don't, it's not really related to my service? The chances are it's probably related to billing accounts, and this is why they put billing accounts in the first place, right? But, and these are choices that you will have to make. But think of this experience so far versus the Sunwing experience when it comes to contact us. Now, you will see there's no telephone number. It's intentional. Rogers doesn't want you to call first. They want you to find your support, your own support. that is sometimes a decision you will have to probably do and live with. Now, if you continue further, then they have billing and accounts, how to make a payment, online billing, understanding my bill charges. I will tell you, Rogers get a lot of calls about billings. Their billing is really difficult to understand, so perhaps they should fix the root cause. But they're looking by what kind of phone calls do we get, what kind of questions or queries that people have. But they are using categories here, and they have no choice because check your network account. So the categories, but they're as labeled, right? You can think of these as categories. Now, these are reasons why you would call us. These are products. Products. It's okay sometimes to mix, as long as it's clear and then it's done well. I say it's okay. It's done well here. And then the topics have been selected based, I would hope, on frequency. So products, topics is one way of categorizing, as you will see. Let's continue as other ways that you can think of categories for your products. Just going to find the slide. And then the line of businesses. So Rogers is a very good example of line of businesses. Sometimes you're going to see chronological order. Where does that make sense? News, right? Recent news, past old news, 24 hours news, or maybe you're going to have last minute departure, last minute deals, last minute travel. So these gives you a sense of chronological order as well. Maybe you're going to have your blogs. Blogs will be from the most recent or recently added. If you think of Shopify, my list of my like songs are by I can do recently, or I can do by artist, or I can do. These are all ways that you can actually think of categorizing as well. But knowing what the user is trying to do and what's important to them is very important. So we said about trying to be mutually exclusive. You have people that will understand Venn diagrams. You have people that don't. People who don't understand Venn diagrams. Yes, there are. Now, balance of depth and breadth. So we talk about breadth. So when we think of breadth, that means you're presenting a lot more options at the top. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. What happens at this point is it gives you a higher visual stat. At a glance, I can really see what this business is all about. Or the likelihood that I'm going to find what I'm looking for is a lot higher. So what I have done, I have circled. See the difference between this is the same item. So this item, I have something here that will probably going to give me a bit of insights. And then when I click, I'm going to see this item. Here, I have to go 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. And I will tell you, based on experience, every time that user have one option, you give it a user, there is a chance that you're probably going to see 50-50, unfortunately. Imagine how difficult it is to come up with good categories, let alone. So now you have fewer options, and you have to decide on the categories on here. You have to decide on the categories on here. You have to decide on the categories here for them to find this. It's a long journey, okay? It's a very long journey. Versus here, I have 17, 10 or 8 categories. Hopefully some of them are about buying, and some of them are about my calls, right? I'm trying to reduce my my phone calls, support or calls. This is a much better approach than this approach. It's a lot quicker to access content, and you rely on recognition. You're showing them. Think of you learning a second language. It's a lot easier to read. Read is about recognizing. I'm reading. I'm recognizing. I recognize the letters. I recognize the words. I go, oh yes, this is pain. This is bread. Pain in French. Oh yes, this is bonjour. Versus what is bread? Now, when I say this, what is bread? I'm using recall. It increased cognitive load. Where is my booking again, right? My booking. Where is Ryu Hotel in Cancun? Versus here, maybe I have something that is about hotels or Cancun. Here there's no Cancun. Here I have no Cancun, perhaps. So this is a way much better approach. Now we've seen one. If you look at Rogers, if we go back to Rogers, Rogers is using death. They only have 3 options. Shop, My Rogers, and support. And honestly, My Rogers and support are so close to one another that I bet that we have customers that don't really know the differences. I'm going to find a bit of Rogers. I'm going to find some support. But Rogers is such a strong term that it's hard to get away from My Rogers. But here I have multiple layers when I shop on Rogers. I have to first pick wireless TV bundles. There was a time where Rogers had wireless TV, internet here. And it was really, really quick access. And then when I was at Rogers, we did a full discovery. And even then, the path to get to a cell phone was a long path. So they're using, unfortunately, they're using the breadth, which is definitely not the approach that I should use. And they've changed that. They've changed that. And again, I think I have a feeling that they want to look nice and pure, not cloudy, not cluttery, and they think they're actually doing a favor to the user when actually they're doing worse to the user. Okay, so with the breadth and with the depth, you have a limited set of visual stand, right? Here I have about 8 items or 9 items. So if I see my bookings, your booking, Cancun, all-inclusive vacation, hotels, and things to do in excursions, I will already get a good sense of your business. If I only see home, sometimes I'll see home, all-inclusive, and support, then I have a much limited view as to what is Sunwing all about and what kind of products you have. And then I'm going to have to do a lot of searching. So it takes a long time. There's a long path to travel to that little items. There's a long path to the travel item. Now, mind you, I told you, 70% of people are not going to follow this path. They're going to come from Google, right? They're going to come. They're going to end in probably here. They're going to end in here and end in here. But still, 30% is a high number of people. You don't want to penalize them either. And a lot of your customers, so I said earlier, this is probably going to be where you have your existing customer. They're not going to search. They're probably not going to search on Google. Why? Because they have you saved. So they are the 30% maybe. A big percentage of your 30% is maybe existing customer. So they're coming through this path unless they've saved that little item. They may have saved, right? They may have saved this little item, but you may be missing out. So this is something that you need to understand and be prepared for in your choices. Now, I just want to make sure that I think we're here together until 12:30. I don't want to go over your time because I value your time. Yes, there's a question on chat, and then I will leave it for questions. Okay, so are there any cases where having a lot of deaths is done well and beneficial? I'm sure there are, but I would probably argue. Now, how do we know? We only know if the size of the business, what is the size of the business, and then what is the frequency of those items that they're hiding deep. And are they revenue generating? Are they cost saving items? We don't know. We will need to look at case by case and really, really determine. So I don't have the right answer, but I can tell you that the breadth is better than depth. I have more positive arguments for breadth and depth than the depth, and then I have moved away from depth to breadth, and I've only seen positive outcome in the 10, 15, 20%, increases in something 100%. I've added things to do at Sunwing. I've added things to do as an item here. It used to be like somewhere here. And like we're talking very, very high visits. And actually, we're getting a lot more sales for excursion. We own that business, that line of business too at Sunwing. So I have only seen benefits. I've never seen any loss. Do large companies have a database of past research they have done that employees can refer back? Unfortunately, some do, some don't. I think the majority don't. Not a lot of companies, Maggie, will actually do that kind of research, A/B testing research. At Sunwing, at Rogers, in 2 years, I've done about 500 A/B testing. So now we had a big repository. So we had to organize, we had to architect a repository of use case of A/B testing. Completely it's 100% So we needed to understand how will user actually be interested in browsing and searching and finding. But that was really, really useful because, and even you, if you were just doing past research and A/B testing, and that's what you do for your main job, you will know what, if something has been done and you'll know how to pull it. But your goal is you want your stakeholder to be able to go in and pull it. They don't know your information. They don't know what that is. So you need to architect that. But you only need to know how does it make sense for them? Do they think of a topic? And often they're not going to think of A/B testing, but they'll think about color testing, death testing, telephone number testing, or maybe they're going to know. Often it's probably going to be very, very specific what they'll be looking for. But yes, you'll be surprised. I guess the death organization is for very specific product, and navigation through it could be like a test. Okay, so let me just see. I guess the death organization is for a very specific product, and the navigation through it could be like a test. So yes, so obviously the more content and the more products you have, you're probably going to be closer to having to use some death, right? I would say yes, you would. If you have a lot of content, you're probably going to go very deeper in depth at some point. But you need to have balance. I would say you should definitely aim for breadth where you can, and then you may have to go in depth because you have so much layer and so much content. But think of it. Hotels. If I sell hotels, yes, I'm going to have 1,000 hotels, right? Maybe I'm going to have 1,000 hotels that I sell. But I can still have something called hotel at this layer. And then I can search, or I can browse by hotel. I can browse by hotel type. So this is all categorization, right? I can browse by hotel type. I can browse by 5-star. Like hotel starring is one way of navigating to hotel. I can browse by themes, family hotels, only adults only, beach hotels. But I still have my hotels at least at the top, but I have thousands of them. Yes, but they're not going to necessarily be all in a row. So you would think there will be depth, but the user though is kind of dealing with 2 levels. Well, first of all, he sees the hotel, then he can start browsing per category. Or you give him a search, right? You give them the search to be able to actually search on a specific hotel name if he wants. So the hotel may actually be like very far down here, a specific each of the hotel because you have 1,000. But there's a quick way to get to it as well. So the point is, the more you show at this level, the easier you're probably going to make it for them to get the visual sense for all the reasons I said here. But you want to give them a search. You want to give them a way to go to be able to search. So search, and they can be very specific as well. And also save it, right? Be able to save. So I can come back, I can retrieve as well, okay? It would be a waste of time to do tests that have already been done. Absolutely, Maggie. So yes, and you will gain that knowledge. And yes, you want to learn. And not only that, every learning, you have to communicate to your designer or to your AI specialist, right? Anybody who's designing or anybody who's doing eyes, anybody who's designing, everything you learn from a test, you want to tell the world so that they don't repeat the same mistake. You should only see that you're improving and incrementing, that you're making your product better. This is why you do testing. There's no point to do testing if you're just going to put it into garbage and do it again the same time, right? So this is how at Rogers we moved our self-serve adoption from 25% to 55% in 2 years. We've done a lot of testing and we built on every little pieces that we were learning. And we went from journey to journey. Pay your bill, sign up to Rogers, sign into Rogers, pay your bill, view your data. Like you have to take a journey and really, really optimize for it. And first, you need to say, there's a journey, there's a customer code, go pay my bill. Can I find it? Where can I find it? Can I browse? Do I see it here? Do I see it? Can I search for it as well? What is that experience? All very, very important. So it's 12:33. We have to depart at this point because we probably have students that will go to the other class. So I will see if there's more. What I encourage you for this week's lecture is to maybe continue on your own the reading. Make sure you have the weekly readings. But there's not too many slides, I believe, left. There are 44 slides in this particular deck. There was an exercise that I was hoping that we would do. Maybe we're going to do one of them in one of our lab hours. And remember, do the labs from last week. But the sooner you do the labs, but the better will be for you. You can start doing even this week lab if you want. And then there's an assignment with cart sorting that will come pretty soon. And next week, we're going to be talking about cart sorting. So I hope you enjoyed this week's sessions and everything is being recorded. And then next week, we're going to start on Wednesday, we're going to start the new topic. But on Tuesday afternoon, we're going to be doing labs, the labs from the previous week and also from this week as well. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. So I hope you enjoy and we'll see you next week.